Welcome to my PvP recording from Star Wars The Old Republic. This video features the Huttball Warzone and my Sith Juggernaut, which is currently at level 18. Now, at level 18, he doesn't yet have all his major defensive cooldowns or crowd control abilities, but he has some pretty big ones, one of which is Chilling Scream. It's an AoE snare. When cast, all enemies within 8 meters are slowed to 50% movement speed. Now, the tank tree, or the immortal tree for the Juggernaut, has a talent that can reduce that cost of Chilling Scream to zero. So effectively, I can spam the ability just limited to the global cooldown, so every 1.5 seconds, and the effect lasts 9 seconds, so I don't actually need to keep spamming it all the time. Other major ability is Guard, a buff I can place on a friendly target, and it will basically reduce damage he takes by 50% by redirecting the damage he absorbs to myself. The other great ability is Taunt. Now, the great thing about Star Wars The Old Republic is that Taunt is actually useful in a PvP setting. Basically, enemies that you taunt have their damage reduced by 30% as long as they're not targeting you. So, a great move by BioWare, and it definitely makes PvP a lot of fun as a tank. So right now we're buffing, and I in this war zone, in this particular match, I've decided to be interference, try to tank other opponents. At this point, you guys, I want to see if they will take the bait, or if they're competitive, they won't. And if that's the case, adjust accordingly. We'll see the mindset of the opposing players at this point. I see 5 players there. Jump in with a force charge, do as much damage as I can, AoE, and interestingly enough, they've pretty much almost all taken the bait. So now it's in a 5-on-1 situation, or 4-on-1 situation. Yes, just a 4-on-1 situation at this point. Uh, of people who are not after the ball carrier. So that actually tells me that they're not exactly into winning this game, or they don't know the big mechanics, or they're not cooperating, or they simply just didn't care about anything but getting kills. So tanking players in this case is made a lot easier because of that. And as you noticed earlier, it took them around 24 seconds to kill me. A lot of time for the ball carrier to actually get a point. So right now I find 3 stragglers who are near my team's spawn point for some reason. Again, 3-on-1 situation. You notice one thing about the Juggernaut, and in tank spec, I can deal a decent amount of damage, manage to choose one player that actually is low, finish him off, and it did take them a lot to actually take me down. So that shows quite a bit on the resilience of the uh, Juggernaut and its mirror, the Jedi Guardian. Very powerful, and I had no heals there, and so I plan to take that to my advantage many times here. Now, like I mentioned in this match, because it's easy for me to take aggro, so to speak, take their attention to myself because they seem to want the easy kill, and so I decided to keep pressing on, making aggressive moves, getting into 3-on-1, 2-on-1, or even 4-on-1 situations. And in a game like Huttball, control is actually better than preventing myself from being killed or even getting kills myself. Essentially, the more people that decide to try to kill me, the less people are trying to kill the ball carrier. And as you can see, we did make another point for our team. So it's very clear that the opposing team is just really not really interested in the game, but still a good. It's a good match to show the strengths and some weaknesses of the Jedi or the Sith warrior. So here I taunt the opponent so he won't attack the ball carrier. And I do make a mistake here. I do try to go one on one, and I did not realize, or I didn't, it's tunnel vision for the most part, that a healer was behind me, which is great. I appreciate the heals, but and you also notice, while a third person attacking this trooper, this creates now a 3-on-1 situation that is against us. So three people just trying to take on one opponent, and that's not a very good strategy. So that's actually the last I tried to do that. So avoid situations like that. The focus is not to just get that easy kill, and it certainly wasn't easy. It did take a while to kill him. And here we go again. I do the aggressive charge, try to keep 3, 4 people busy. Two of them did not bother to attack me, and um, yes, now you have three of them attacking me, and no one, fewer people attacking opponents. And after crowd control breaks, I decide to just make a break for it and see if I can do some good. I did notice that the opponents have the ball, but they dropped it apparently, and now one of my teammates has the ball. So at this point, I decided to play defensively and try to just be support. So I cast guard, and one of my teammates comes in and throws a shield on the flag carrier, and we decide to make it for the end game, for the end goal. Now a bunch of the enemies are in one side. I do my charge again, just try to get their attention. Make sure they don't put their attention on the flag carrier in the event that they decide to actually stop the flag carrier, which I'm not sure if he made the goal at this point, but I did manage to hold him off for a little bit. It was actually shorter than I was hoping. As you can see as well, because of lag, I wasn't able to leave the spawn point early enough, and it gave me a warning. So it's excellent. And there's really no AFKing on the end zone. So whenever you spawn, you only have a certain amount of time before the game actually kicks you out. Uh, I mean, in World of Warcraft, AFKers are actually the bane of almost any team, and the game actually forcing you out if you're AFK in the spawn zone is just a great decision. So here left, I actually did make a mistake and did not guard my ball carrier properly. Well, the um, the air vents actually knock you away in random directions, so it knocked me away from the ball carrier, and I wasn't able to defend him properly. And here we actually show how disinterested the other team is actually is in trying to win this game. The ball carrier decides just to hide and do nothing, then heal himself. So he isn't even moving. And as damage wise, I'm in tank spec in my tank stance, which is doesn't have really reduced damage, but isn't really the biggest damage dealer stance of the Juggernaut or the Sith Warrior. So, and he can still do quite a bit of damage. I'm interested in finding out what I can do once I get to level him up a little bit more. So here I managed to get the ball, and between the heals, shields, and my own personal shield as well, it's actually very difficult for them to take me down. Make sure not to go into fire. The fires actually still hurt. Later in the video, you will see we actually take a bit of damage from the fire. And again, I actually am a little bewildered that they didn't even try to stop me from making the goal. But then again, with 6 minutes, 7 minutes left, and they're down 4-0, it probably doesn't really matter for them whether they win or not. They will probably not be able to win if they tried. Here, I did not create a deficit, but I decided to go after a trooper. Not quite sure if it's the same trooper I was fighting earlier. I Damn, it's actually a bit of an error, but it did keep them busy. But it didn't keep them busy in a proper place. That actually is not a good place to keep enemies busy because that is their goal zone, and it keeping enemies there prevents uh, our flag carrier from actually capping, or make it harder for them to cap. So were this a serious game, serious meaning both sides actually trying to win, um, that would have been a big mistake. And here I could not. He outranges my charge, so I decided to go through. It shows again the resilience of the Juggernaut. The damage I took was pretty big. It did take about 20%, 25% of my health, but not significant enough to really slow me down. And it did give me the benefit of saving my charge in the event I needed it to go up one level, charge up to anyone else who's trying to ambush a flag carrier. And here we decide to have a skirmish. Everyone seems to be hanging out here. Decide to guard and protect one of my teammates here. Get a medal for absorbing or reducing 2k damage without dying. Good medal, means I actually did something. Although I did absorb the damage that was meant for my teammate, it's still a good feeling. I've died quite a lot in this war zone. I believe 9 deaths, but unlike many other um, like World of Warcraft and Battlegrounds, it's not quite as frustrating because I do know I actually did something. I've been a major contributor, or just really contributing to the game itself. So here we go again. I find a weak opponent. I'll take him down. Again, the ball carrier is not really interested in doing anything other than trying to kill people around him, and he's very unsuccessful. I end up with the ball again, and this should be our last goal. Huttball actually ends if one team gets 6 goals, or if time runs out, and whoever gets the highest points wins. So even with people trying to oppose my progress, I'm still able to get through. I pop a cooldown right here, and I do something daring and just jump through the fire. That didn't give me damage, but being knocked back into the fire did. So I went down to about 40% health. A really dangerous move, but I gotta admit, it was pretty fun. And here, low health with some heals, again, showing the strength and resilience of the Juggernaut. And take note that heals and absorbs and protection is actually part of the score and gives you appropriate points for it. And you also get to choose your MVP. Uh, and yeah, looks like the Sith Juggernaut or Jedi Guardian will be very fun. So I plan to do more and see what I can do at higher level. Thank you for watching.